This is a Catlin radio. It's a particular type of plastic. Most of the time you see them in nice bright colors, but obviously you can see that this is black, but it is Catlin, and it's an Emerson. Let's see what we can't get in here. It is a 564. I'll check that. It could be an 8, but I think it's a 6. Series A. Emerson. Emerson Radio Corporation. Turn it on here. This little radio uses coil tuning, and as you can hear, that is a typical filter hum. So those electrolytics are definitely gone. I am really glad that I took this out of the case, because I just spent about a half hour trying to get it out, and you can see that mark right at the top. What happens to these radios is they shrink, and it was hitting so hard right here that it just would not move. So the solution was I put some WD-40 on a Q-tip and hit this point in the radio, and after about 10 more minutes I was able to get it out of the chassis. Now of course I'll knock that down, and possibly a little bit over here, and maybe make this notch here a little bit bigger. I'll fit it later, but I'm glad I did that, because that would be really bad if this Catlin radio was cracked. There you can see the tuning here. There's one of the coils right here. There we go. There's another coil on the other side. And if I fix the radio or not, I'm glad I knew about that, because it keeps shrinking and eventually it would crack. Here's a closer look at the problem. Because of the shrinkage of the cabinet. So I filed that down, and this next picture is a look at the inside of the cabinet. And the next picture here is a much closer look at the cabinet where it was hitting, and you can see the scrape marks. So I filed all that down, and now everything fits very nicely. Here's a picture of the back, and it is a model 564 Series A. And the next picture here is Emerson Corporation. Here's a look at the inside of the chassis. And I wanted to keep the capacitor, the electrolytic capacitor, look the same. So what I did was I cut the wires to the capacitor and left that on top, which is in the earlier video. And this next picture here, I found a ground where I had room to add 2 more electrolytic capacitors. And then I wired them in, as you can see in this picture, and of course I insulated both ends of those capacitors so there's no possibility of having any shorts. I tested that part of the radio, making sure that everything was wired correctly, and the hum disappeared. And then in this picture, as you can see, I went ahead and changed out the wax capacitors. Well, it's all done. I did all the filing and got everything so it will slide in and out quite easily. And I also rubbed the Catlin plastic with a oil wax to try and get some of the oils back into that plastic.
Game Time Saturday. Live from the AutoZone studios of Fox Sports Radio.
With the Oval Office, Lincoln Kennedy. Here he is sitting in for Mr. Moriarty, John Fricky.
You know, I don't have any issues that I know of with our imaging department. That's a fancy radio term. Imaging department are the people that put together the opens, and they usually do a very good job. Lincoln Kennedy, you would agree that our imaging department does a very good job.
Absolutely.
People, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a little bit of a problem with the open I just heard.
I am so glad I took that off the shelf, because that plastic case was about ready to pop. I mean, that radio was really wedged in there.